Welcome to the Rotary E Club of North Texas. It's today the 21st? Oh yeah, May 21st, and this is our new next meeting. We have a great speaker, Jim. We'll be having him speak in a couple of minutes. Let's open with an invocation from Rick, and then David will do the pledge.
Okay, I'll do that. By the way, I just lost my screen.
I see you.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, we see you and we hear you.
I'll go ahead and do the prayer.
So it's on your end.
Let's bow our head in prayer. Lord, we come to you this evening with great thanks and appreciation for Rotary and the way that we can use our gifts and talents to help others in our community and around the world. We thank you for blessing our leadership and guiding us forward. We have so many things to be thankful for. We ask that you continue your blessings upon us as we have a chance to go out and help others. And all these things we ask in his name. Amen.
Amen.
You'll join me in the pledge.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
To the
flag
flag, United States of America,
There's
to the
flag
republic
to the republic
for which it stands, one
One
nation,
nation under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
liberty
justice
and justice
for
for
all.
all.
Okay, I wanted to just tell you, Jim, we have a lot of the members, they watch the video.
Mhm.
That's why they join this club. I'm a speaker like you are. And like I'm going to San Diego tomorrow to speak. And so a lot of them will watch it afterwards. That's why they join this club. So it's not that there's nobody else here. They're just not here right now. Just thought you should know that. Because sometimes when you just see just a couple of people, you wonder what happened. There's more people. It's an unusual club. That's why they join this club. So they don't have to be at the meeting and they can watch it later. Okay, just thought you should know that. So you're not just talking to four people.
Oh, thank you, Howard. But I always talk to the people that are there, and if I back in my mind there's people later, that's great.
That was me. I got a quick story on that, and I'll go back. Years ago, someone told me Frank Sinatra had a concert in the Meadowlands, and there was a torrential snowstorm, and I had 30,000 people. About a dozen people showed up. And they said he did the concert of a lifetime, and one of the stagehands, when he got off the stage, why did you do that? He said, 12 people. He said, they came in a blizzard, and 29,890 people stayed home. He says, you don't take out on the people who showed up and respected you because of your people who didn't come. And I think that's the way a speaker should always conduct themselves. If there's 4 people or 4,000 people, that's always you, and it reflects on who you are. And
Okay, I just have one thing I said earlier before you got on. I sent you an email, but there were 4 more cases of polio in Pakistan this last week.
that's sad.
So I think there's 15 total for this year.
It's a hard
Now
country to
I'm
work
telling
in.
Jim about it.
They've done so. Oh, by the way, Jim, if you're interested in being a Rotarian, we would extend that to you. You don't have to be in Dallas. You could be anywhere. And as a speaker, I do a lot of Rotary clubs, and as a Rotarian, it's easier to get bookings in Rotary clubs, and you meet people. Like if let's say you're going to New York, just for argument's sake, and you're speaking and it has nothing to do with Rotary, but you go to a couple of Rotary meetings before your presentation. Those are the movers and shakers. It's the company owners, the mayor. These are the people who generally are in Rotary. And there's retirees, but most of the people that are active, they'll be the business leaders and the mayors, the superintendents, the police chiefs. So it's a good way to get in front of those people as a Rotarian. And if you're a member of any club, they have to allow you to attend a meeting anywhere in the world that you go to. So I found that useful to me as a speaker. I like what Rotary does anyway, so I feel comfortable with that. They help fight polio and they do water projects in Africa and other places. And it's a really good charitable organization. It's in the top 5 or 6 in the world, in the country. Like 96 cents out of $1 goes to the charity, not to the people running it. So just letting you know, if you'd like to be part of our group, we welcome you. Linda, there's a meeting you told me to go to. Can you tell me a little more about what I'm doing there? It's like I said I would do it, but I don't know really what I'm doing.
That's the, okay.
It's not a requirement, Howard.
It's the business meeting. Normally it's held during the conference, but a couple of years ago, they decided to have a separate business meeting. It's where they're going to vote on some changes to the manual procedure. One of them is the selection of the nominating committee for the governor nominee and or designate. And so they want to cut out one of the past district governors and add the district governor nominee to the thing. I think we should vote against it. I
Okay,
mean,
that's fine. And that's all I needed. She knows more about Rotary than anyone I know. So if that's what she wants me to, I'll do that. Do I have to go there and vote? Is that where you vote?
and you have to go to vote, and you have to have that certificate that you, Pam Blankersee has sent out the district, the certification to as an elector. You should have gotten it several times.
Should I fill it? I didn't. I gave it to you because I didn't know what to do.
No,
with
no,
it.
no, that was the international. This is for the business meeting. And Pam has sent it out a couple of times.
Again,
Pam,
I sent it to you.
I know, but I'm not gonna be here.
Okay,
I'll
send
find
it.
it.
Send it back to me. And I thought you and David go to everything. That's why.
Yeah, but we're still gonna be gone.
I didn't know that. That's why I sent it to
Yeah,
you. But
like
you,
on June the 6th or.
that's why I said I would do it because you told
Yeah.
me you couldn't do it, and I know you go anyway. So if you're going to be there, I didn't need to be there. But if you're not going to be there, then
I won't
I
be
would
back.
do.
I'll be out of the country.
Then I'll do
We'll
it.
be
You know,
going from Germany to England on that day.
yeah, and that's why I said I would do it because if
Okay.
you were there, I wouldn't bother. But if you're not there, someone should be there, and I would do it.
Right.
So send
Okay.
it back to me, and I will make that.
Okay. Okay. That's all I have. We didn't have anything going on this last
That's
week.
it. That's it. I just thought I should ask you about that. So.
Okay.
Because you're going to be gone, and I need to know before you go. When you send me the email, just write down what you told me about that particular thing and what you want me to vote, and then I'll do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
some rabble rouser ran it through it. Well,
Okay.
it was me. but-
Now it's time for our speaker, David.
Okay, so let me introduce him. I got to go into his script. Jim Zaborin has been a life coach specializing in the area of personal self-creation for over 10 years. His professional goal is to help people become the best possible version of themselves so they can become. In doing that, he helps them create the lives they personally find rewarding, rich, and full. Because Jim is a hypnotherapist, he usually utilizes the power of the mind to hypnosis to help people achieve their personal self-improvement goals. So I'm going to say thank you for coming. I'm also a hypnotist, so I really am interested in what you have to say. And if you would like to, Jim, you can use PowerPoint. It's up to you. But if you choose to, on the bottom of the screen in the middle where it says share, if you click on that, we'll move over to the site and your screen will take over and you could do that. If that's something you want to do, only if you do. And with that, I'm going to mute my mic so you don't get my dog barks in the background. And we'll welcome you as our speaker. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Howard. Can everybody hear me okay? Is my mic turned up loud enough? Great. Very good. And let's see, I'm going to try to share, not PowerPoint, but a PDF.
There we go.
Okay, I can't see that screen. All I can see is myself. So, but sounds good. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate that.
We can see it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
3 secret keys.
That's it. Thank you. Before I get started, I just wanted to reflect on an experience I know that all of us have had, especially people who are interested in helping others and who are go-getters, as Howard mentioned, go-getters. Anybody who's a go-getter, really, they create in their life what they have. And there are circumstances that favor us, but really there's many examples of people who can overcome insurmountable odds, it seems, to other people, but they can actually make things happen in their lives. And just kind of want to just consider that so many people start out with dreams and they have big goals and big hopes, but life kind of catches up with them and they start to many of them start to seem to think that life is working against them and locking them out. And I know for myself, decades ago, I kind of felt like many people had a secret because they could do things that they set out to do, but I didn't seem to know how, and nobody seemed to want to tell me, and it was almost as if it was a secret. And I couldn't really find anybody to tell me. And over the decades, I've figured it out, or at least what works for me. But I think of the words of the Apostle Paul, who said, why do I do the things I don't want to do, and why do I not do the things I want to do? And he had his own answers because he had a specific context that he was seeking answers to that for. But really, how many times do people get in their mind, well, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, but somehow it doesn't happen like that. And even they might try very hard at first, but it turns out not working out for them. And that's a frustrating thing. I believe as people that we are designed to be creative. We're designed to create lives, and hopefully we create lives that are very meaningful and effective to others. And I think that that is a sentiment that a Rotarian can really understand, because we do want to do good things in the world. We do want to be relevant. We do want to become competent in the things that we are competent, get good at, and then utilize those resources to be relevant to other people by fulfilling actual needs. But to do that, we do have to have the freedom to become competent. And so many people would like to achieve goals. And I think if I were to ask everybody, I believe that everybody would have examples in their lives where they wanted to do something, they set out to do something. It could be simple or it could be more complicated. Like perhaps this fell in the picture. Many people have goals, and they tell themselves the story that, hey, I'm going to be fit, I'm going to be healthy. But somehow it doesn't seem to work that way. And there's a reason for it. And there are actually, I've discovered over time and learned that there are actually primarily three things that work against us getting our goals. And well, I thought they might have been secrets in the past. I understand now that they're really not secrets in the sense that somebody is trying to keep us away from hidden knowledge, but rather it's secret because it's hidden from us, from ourselves. And it's hidden for ourselves because they really function. A lot of the functioning that goes behind whether we reach our goals or not is really within ourselves, but it comes as a part of our subconscious, which in my working understanding is at least 88% of our conscious, it's at least 88% of ourselves, whereas only 12% is really the conscious mind. And yet, so when we, in our conscious mind, we think, okay, I'm going to become fit, and I'm going to lose 50 pounds and become fit. Oftentimes down below, in the 88% of ourselves, we don't want that, believe it or not. And that's the odd thing, because it's hidden away in our subconscious. And so I've discovered three keys that help me go into my subconscious that tell me when I think that I'm going to do something, and I'm capable of doing things I set my mind to, but when I set my mind to do something, but I don't seem to actually do anything towards that, I know that there's something deeper going on down in the subconscious. So what I do is, what I've discovered is that these three keys can help to unlock the ability for me to achieve what I would like to achieve. The first secret or hidden key to unlocking personal self-improvement goals, and that's the area I work in, and it could really be applicable to any goals anywhere. And you, being go-getters, you probably are really good at setting goals for yourself and achieving them. But I would not be surprised at all, since you're people who help others, that you run across other people who really could help themselves, but they really don't. And that's because something is blocking them. And I'm getting warnings about a temperature warning, so I don't know if you're hearing the dinging going on. I'll ignore it for now, but I'll see if I can do something to stop that if we need to. But the very first key is that there has to be conscious agreement with your subconscious or unconscious. The terms are interchangeable. Very often what we consciously decide we want to do, it's a good thing for us, but our unconscious decided long ago, sometimes when we were children, that we'll never do that because from a childish standpoint at that time, it decided that it was not something that would be beneficial to yourself. And while you and your conscious mind grew, the subconscious always remembers that decision. And when you consciously as an adult set out to do something that your unconscious decided when you were a child is not safe for you to do, you'll actually start to do things that are self-sabotaging. And so one of the key ways one of the key things to look at if you have something you want to achieve, but you're not seeming to achieve it, is do I have an unconscious disagreement with that decision? Is there something that I want to, that I'm trying to do by not doing what I set out to do consciously that keeps me safe? So the first key is to look, am I being locked out of achieving what I want to achieve because my unconscious doesn't agree on doing it because for whatever reason, it feels like it's unsafe to do. One example of that might be you may decide for business purposes that it would be really helpful for you to go and to engage in public speaking. And so you set out to do it, but every time you will start getting a fear in the pit of your stomach, and then you'll start procrastinating and making up excuses to yourself why not to do it. And it may stem back simply all the way to first or second grade where you were called up to the board to answer a problem on the board. And it was a traumatic experience to your very young, impressionable mind. And you decided, I'm never going to do this again. And so from that point on, you just got into the habit of panicking every time you were forced to do public speaking in a classroom setting, just reinforcing that once I'm out of school, I'm never going to do this again. And then later on, when your conscious mind decides this will be good for me, your unconscious is still operating saying, well, no, I don't think that will be. And so you sometimes will have to go out and dig out, well, why, what really is bothering me about this? What's really standing in my way of doing what I've decided I'm going to do? The second key is habits. And our habits have to be consistent with achieving the goal that we set out. And we all know habits, obviously, like smoking or eating. They could be healthy habits, such as we eat healthily, or they could be unhealthy habits, such as we eat a lot of junk food. But actually, virtually everything we do as humans is actually a habit. And it's very good that it's that way, because we don't have to continually think throughout the day consciously, step by step, everything we're doing. And so we just go on to autopilot, which frees up our conscious mind, which is fairly limited in its ability to extend energy, at least as compared to the unconscious. And so we go on autopilot on things that really are not of concern. And so we go ahead and we habitually do things. So habits can go down to just a very you would be surprised what are habits. For example, if perhaps your child does something irritating and you respond negatively to it constantly, and actually what it does, it actually makes the problem worse for the child, because then they become self-conscious, but somehow you feel like you just have to respond that way. It just automatically comes up. But actually you've gotten in the habit of responding that way, and you can respond differently. A case I just recently worked with was a matter of a person having problems sleeping at night. And literally, here's a case where habits stack, bad habits stack. The person would wake up at every little sound. And while sleeping, the subconscious can hear what's going on and alert the person who's sleeping to wake up if there's a danger. And this person had somewhere decided that they needed to hear every noise. They were fearful of the noises in the night. And so they would constantly be waking up at every little noise. And so we worked on just changing the habit to where the subconscious would ignore ordinary, healthy sounds around them and would only respond to sounds that were potentially dangerous. And then the next habit there was that they were in the habit of thinking when they went to bed. So we had to change the habit of conscious habit of thinking about the day when it's time to go to sleep. And then we went after the layer of the habit where when they woke up, then they had a hard time going to sleep. And so when they did wake up, well, then they got in the habit of not thinking about things once their mind got going to get them through whatever they were going to do when they woke up, but rather just go back to sleep. And falling asleep is very natural and very easy. We're very good at it, but we get in the habit of not doing it. So habits have to be consistent with achieving our goals. And a lot of times people's habits are very subtle and they don't recognize it as a habit. And so they don't really change what they're doing. For example, if somebody's goal is to lose weight, that's their self-improvement goal. Every time they reach for the refrigerator and open it, they may automatically go for the unhealthy food. And they may think when they're not by the refrigerator, well, I'm going to eat more healthily. But as soon as they go to the refrigerator and open the door, their brain is wired by habit to go after the snack and the junk food, and they don't even think about it. And really, all it really is establishing another habit where when you reach for the refrigerator door, you automatically reach for the healthy food. And it just becomes a habit to do that. So a person who's having a hard time accomplishing what they set out to do consciously may just not have habits that are consistent with achieving their goals. And then the third key is that our self-talk has to be supportive of achieving our goals. I discovered this, maybe 3-4 decades ago, about 3 decades ago, when I was just a brand new stockbroker in downtown Chicago. It was a reach goal for me to get on the phone every day and in a competitive environment and sell stocks and it was a real challenge. And I didn't grow up in an environment that was the type of activities I had to do as a stockbroker were things that I just grew up believing I couldn't do. And I would hear voices that were from my past affirming that I couldn't do it as I went about the day. Oh, you're not good enough to do this. Oh, you'll never be able to do that. And I was actually coaching myself not to do it. And very many people have self-talk that is not supportive of achieving their goal. And the self-talk is actually just a habit. It's a bad habit that keeps people from doing what they set out to do. And so these are just 3 very simple keys they're simple to understand, but they are prevalent and just throughout everything we do every day. And so these are probably what in my finding is this is where people really struggle. When I first started coaching, it was pretty simple to lay out, well, your outcome is going to come from an action, and your action is going to come from a decision, and your decision is going to be based on your attitudes and your thinking. It's simple, right? Well, simple in concept, and yes, but there's a step behind the attitudes and the thinking, and that's where the subconscious comes in. And once I've discovered that key, I was able to really supercharge helping people to achieve their goals. And so over time, these 3 keys developed in my thinking as the go-to things that I always look for whenever I'm helping somebody else try to achieve something they set out to achieve. And so that being aware of those 3 keys, how we self-sabotage ourselves, whether it be because we have an unconscious disagreement with what we set out to do, because for some reason our subconscious thinks it's not good for us based on a decision we made somewhere in our past that we don't even remember anymore, or that we have habits that aren't supportive of achieving the outcomes we want, or that we are self-coaching with negative self-talk, so to speak, psyching ourselves out to begin with. Those are the areas where we really start to unlock things. And what is the best way to use those keys to unlock self-improvement goals? Well, that's the part that's not necessarily so simple. What you have to do is you have to reach the subconscious, and you have to do it in a way where the subconscious accepts it. And it can be done through a lot of repetition, but where it really is done very quickly, in fact, in my experience immediately, is through hypnosis. And so with hypnosis, when I work with my clients there, we work with the other 80% of their self, their subconscious self, which is a fantastic part of the self. We might be tempted to think of it as an enemy because it works against us, but no, it is truly our friend, and its real goal is to keep us safe and alive. It's just that it doesn't really have the logic that our conscious mind does. So sometimes we have to communicate to it that things that it thinks might be a threat are really not a threat. And then once we get its agreement, it's us, it's ourself, and we are of one mind, so to speak. Now, how do we do that? Well, there's self-hypnosis, something that I've worked with quite a bit with in the past, and we can kind of move past a critical function that develops when we're 12, 13, and start growing up. We develop a critical function that filters out a lot of learning. And what I consider hypnosis to be is a learning state. Now, you may be thinking, well, this is something that happens from the outside and some hypnotist or somebody does something to me, when actually that's not the case at all. Hypnosis is a very natural state. I call it a learning state really because that's what it is. It's how we learn when we're children. Children spend their time in a state of hypnosis. If you ever see how self-absorbed they become, it's really an inward focus. And if they're sitting there watching something, their eyes will be wide, their jaw will drop, and they'll just be absorbing like a sponge. They're in a learning state. It's the critical function is there, but it's set aside. But for children, it's not really developed. But for adults, when they go into hypnosis, they set that critical function to the side. And they don't lose it. They don't become stupid. They don't become gullible. But rather, they just take in information more directly. Adults still do it. If you ever have had the experience of being entranced by a movie, mesmerized by a movie, where you really get into it so much that your eyes start to stare and your jaw may drop a little bit, and you put yourself in the story, you're actually in a state of hypnosis. Hypnosis, it's a learning state. It's a state we learn in, and a lot of times to learn we have to put ourselves into the situation, even if in our imagination, and we agree with the movie maker that we suspend reality. We say, okay, this is reality right now, and we get into it and we absorb that. Another place where we naturally go into self-hypnosis is when we're driving. If you've ever had the experience where you're driving along and all of a sudden you look around, you realize that, hey, I'm about a mile ahead of where I thought I should be. How did I get here? Well, you were aware enough to drive. You can function driving, but you shifted away into an internal focus, which is what self-hypnosis is, and we're concentrating deeply on something, and so you were actually in a natural state of hypnosis. So all hypnosis actually is self-hypnosis. So self-hypnosis is not a weak alternative. It's just a different alternative. But all hypnosis is actually self-hypnosis. Now, where working with somebody in hypnosis is good is then you can have somebody guide you through to achieve goals that you want to achieve. The solution is going to be within you. You already know what the solution is. You just have to unlock those keys. And so it's really just having somebody help you kind of guide you to that. And that can be done with hypnosis tapes, but hypnosis tapes are in general, generalized. So if you have a general issue, you can get hypnosis tapes on fear of public speaking or weight loss or stop smoking, just literally thousands of subjects. Or if you want a customized solution, you might look into the services of a hypnotherapist. Now you might be concerned that, well, that's going to be kind of like where they make me bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken. And no, not really, not at all. There are a lot of misconceptions about hypnosis, and that particular one comes from a popular form of entertainment called stage hypnosis. And the people doing that are actually, they want to actually be part of the show, and they may have inhibitions about being a part of the show, but they may secretly want to. And the hypnotist doing the stage hypnosis is well trained at finding people that are very suggestible, that can really go into this learning state very easily. And then they bring them into that learning state, and those people, well, consciously they might not dream of doing something. They have a disagreement internally because they want to do that, and then the hypnotist is able to bring that out, and it's done in a very showy way, barking like a dog or clucking like a chicken or any amount of foolishness. And as entertainment, that's great, but it really is kind of foolish, especially considering that hypnotherapy is such a huge tool. Now, if you are struggling with issues that are clinical in nature, something that's diagnosable, you would want to see a clinical hypnotherapist. A clinical hypnotherapist would be somebody who's trained as a medical doctor or a licensed psychologist, and they work with problems that are diagnosable, deeply ingrained, or requiring medications in concert sometimes with the hypnosis. But a regular hypnotherapist would be somebody who's trained in helping people achieve their goals through hypnosis. And it's in contradistinction to stage hypnotism. It's a form of therapy or a form of helping people achieve their goals. About 95% of the people don't need medical help. What they need is just somebody who can help them get on track to achieve what they want to achieve. And that's what a hypnotherapist works with. And that's what I do. I'm a hypnotherapist, a trained hypnotherapist, and that's what I work with. I have a special offer for anybody who's watching this, and I can't really answer questions directly in this format necessarily. I can. I'm willing to stay and answer questions. I don't know what your format is. I'd be happy to answer any kind of questions that you have. I'd be happy to answer any kind of questions that you have. But if you have specific questions, or if you have something specific that you'd like to find out if it would be something that we could work with, I'd be willing to offer a complimentary 1-hour hypnotherapy session here on Zoom, just like you're using right now. And all you need to do to take advantage of that is to send a blank email to rotaryspecial@selfcreationcoach.com. And or you can just, you don't have to write anything on it. Once I get it to that particular email address, I'll know that you're looking for more information as a result of this presentation here tonight. But you don't need to take advantage of that either. There's plenty of information online. Or there's, like I said, there are literally thousands of tapes out there put out by a few big companies that produce these tapes. And I use quite a few of them myself. I have in the past. And I enjoy them, and I get something out of them. So I just encourage you to look at exploring those three keys. Or if you know somebody who needs that, you can go ahead and pass along that email address. I'll leave it up for about a week, and I'll send out a link to schedule, and you can schedule out anytime within, say, 6 months. And but I'll leave the scheduler up for about a week on that. And given that other people will be listening to this, I think I'll extend that out for a month. So let's say I'll take that link down on June 21st, but you can schedule it for 6 months out, and that will be fine for that. And with that, I'll end my presentation and say thank you. If your format is to do a question and answers, I'd be happy to answer any kind of questions. Or if you have any questions, please feel free to send an email to that. If you write something in there, if I get a blank one, I'll know that I'll just send you a link to schedule. If you have a question, I will respond to it. I'll see each one, and I'll respond with an answer to your question. Thank you.
I want to thank you. I wanted to encourage everyone to take advantage. I'm a hypnotist as well. I don't do it as a therapist. I use it in my workshops, but it's very effective for a wide range of things. Rick, you might find it very helpful with the treatments you're undergoing now with the chemo and everything to help you reduce the pain and the side effects. It's very, very effective, particularly in that area of pain. It can't make a blind person see, but it can make someone who's uncomfortable not feel as uncomfortable. A friend of mine had eye surgery without anesthesia under hypnosis, and they literally surgically opened her eye up with a scalpel with no pain. So I was going to encourage everyone, if you have any of those situations, to take advantage of Jim's offer. It's really a very powerful tool, and I know for a fact that it's effective, and I know for you, Rick, it would really help for what you're doing right now. So I want to encourage you to do that.
It probably won't hurt.
It has his email or his.
Speak closer to your mic, Rick.
Can we have the slide put back up that has his contact address, please?
Thank you, Rick. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and share that. in terms of pain management, pain is really a useful tool. It may be that I can work in concert with a doctor. Some situations might be where if your doctor says it's okay, but sometimes pain management is simply as understanding, how to view it. So there's some things I can do. I won't take away pain completely without a doctor's orders, of course, but I am willing to work with doctors. So if depending on what a person needs, I can do that. Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Well, he's doing chemo, so something like nausea and
Exactly, yeah.
and some of the
Stress.
fatigue and stuff like that. I know that you could be very helpful and not taking
Absolutely.
it, not necessarily curing the symptoms, but making them less severe so they're more tolerable.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. I just wanted clarity there because
Yeah.
I don't.
Right. And
I'm not
it's,
here to work. Even taking away pain isn't a good thing either.
no. If you step on a broken piece of glass, you're supposed to feel it.
Yes, you are.
But you don't want to feel nauseous or debilitated after a chemo session, and hypnosis
Exactly.
could be one of the ways to mitigate some of those unpleasant side effects. Not everyone gets them, but it's not uncommon, and I know for a fact that that's one of the things your system will help him with. And since that's something he has to deal with, I thought it would be very good for him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Howard.
Okay, I'm just trying to help.
You are. Thank you very much.
My wife does oncology massage, so we're kind of very familiar with people, and because again, it's a different kind of massage. Normally, with oncology, you don't want to spread. If there's a metastases, you don't want to spread it, and massage can do that. So she's trained on how to do it to relieve the discomfort without doing harm. And it's a
Right.
special form of massage. It's not like the deep tissue where it could cause damage if someone's having that kind of treatment.
Right.
Does anyone else have a question? Linda, you're muted. You muted yourself. I could see you talking. I feel
Yeah,
I feel like David now.
No, my friend from Oregon just called.
Oh, okay.
So, she's in a senior housing
okay.
up there that we go visit.
Oh, I thought you were asking a question and we couldn't hear
Well,
you.
no, I was gonna say something, but anyway, she was a nurse and she was under a lot of stress, and maybe this is something that may be good for her.
Very
Absolutely.
good for stress. Very, very
She's a
good.
nurse during Vietnam, and she's
Yeah.
retired now.
It can help a lot of those things. It's good for where there's an emotional component to a distress. It can help with that. It can't make a broken bone not be broke. It
She's
can't
down
make
playing
a.
water volleyball right
Right.
now. That's one of the stress relievers.
But it's a lot of our discomfort is our state of mind and how we're focusing on that state. And what hypnosis can do is train us to not be focused on it the same way, so that our unconscious brain isn't sending information to our conscious brain we don't want or need. So yeah, anything, anxiety, depression, if there's a habit that like wanting to lose weight or stop smoking, it's very good in reinforcing the will. It can't make you stop smoking and it can't make you want to diet. But if that's what you desire and there's a habit that's underlying preventing you from fulfilling your desire, it's because there's an unconscious program that's working against it. That's where hypnosis is very, very powerful. It can change that unconscious program that's sabotaging what your conscious is trying to accomplish. So that's why I wanted to encourage the people watching the video and the people here to take advantage, because I do know the power that this has, and it's I've been fascinated and impressed by some of what I've seen people accomplish with this tool. So this is a very, very generous offer that he's giving. So I thought I should say something about that. Most times you don't see someone doing that as a gift.
Well, we appreciate your time, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
And hopefully we'll see you back online as a
Yes.
member or as a speaker again.
We would like that.
I'll look into that. Thank you for pointing that out also.
I'm going to close the meeting with the four-way test.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wait.
How did you mute Linda?
She
He
did it.
didn't. I
Into
did.
my eyes.
She did it. I didn't mute her. I've often looked for my wife's mute button, but right now I can just tell her I don't hear her, and I'm being honest. But again, I'm
And now
not sure
you
if I'm
won't have-
making the right decision or not.
But in the future, when you get your hearing aid, you won't have an excuse.
I know. Then I'll just have to pull them out and say, "What? The battery's dead."
You can only do that so many times.
I could try.
Okay.
I could try. We could use hypnosis to make her think that it's the first time.
Jim's gonna think we're not serious.
If he's married, he knows we are. I tell everyone this is my second marriage. My first one was a storybook marriage. Unfortunately, Stephen King wrote the book. So anyway, I'm gonna close out the meeting with the four-way test, and I hope you guys have a great trip. Please send me that email with what I need
will.
to do and the forms, and I'll take care of that one afterwards.
Okay.
This is the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will be beneficial to all concerned. And our fifth one here is it fun?
Thank you. Have a good week.
Thank you for coming. And Jim, I really enjoyed your presentation. It was excellent. And I do know your field, so I thought it was very well done.
Thank you, Howard. I appreciate it.
If you need a recommendation, send me an email and I could give you something you could post on Speaker Match or something to get you more bookings.
I will do that, Howard. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to be out of town for a few days, so if I don't respond immediately, it's because I'm traveling. Thanks everyone. I don't know if I'll see everyone next week. I'll be here, but either way, thank you for coming. I look forward to seeing you in a future meeting.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.